As a travel filmmaker, I'm not really into having gimbals and too much gear with me. But when Moza asked me if I wanted to test out their Moza Aircross S, I thought why not? It's supposedly a very light gimbal and also it's a 3-in-1, so why not try it out and see how I like it? And knowing that I don't usually travel with a gimbal and usually I shoot handheld, and also to add to this, I did have a gimbal before, but that one actually took a lot of time to set up and was a little bit heavier, so it wasn't the best for my style of shooting. So when Moza asked if I wanted to test out the Aircross S, I thought, you know what, let's do it. Let's see how I like a new modern gimbal in 2024. And before we begin this video, yes, Moza did send me out this gimbal, but they have no say in this video and my opinions about this gimbal. So everything I see in this video is just from my own experience and my own thoughts about this gimbal. So first thing, let's go over what we have in the box, because if you look at this is very nice. They actually put a carrying pouch into the box. So first off, I have to say the presentation, that was very nice. It even has ways to connect it on the back. You can connect it to your bag or your luggage, which is very cool. So when we open this up, you will notice that, well, on one side we have place for all the cables and other things that you want to add. There's already 3 cables inside, and while you do see a foam here for now, you can actually take out the foam, and beneath the foam are actually different segments that you can actually velcro to the bag and make it like a mini backpack. If you ever had a photography backpack where you have the, the segments where you can customize the inside, this is here. It's just beneath everything here, so you have to take out the foam to set it up. But if you want to leave it like it is, for me, I really like the foam because it just has everything nicely inside. But if you wanted to use it more like a small backpack in a way, you could actually have it in a different way with the segments inside. But as you can see, the gimbal itself is tiny. So let's go over what we have inside. First off, let's take out the tripod that can be actually used as a handle, which we're going to talk about in a second. Then we have an L mount or an L bracket. Thanks to this, we can actually set it up to be both horizontal and vertical on the gimbal. You can set it up this way or this way, depending on what you're shooting. So if you want to have short form content in vertical, you can do that. Or if you want to just have normal horizontal footage, you can use that too. So it's really nicely for both kind of shots. Then we also have 2 more things. One is a phone holder. So if you want to record with a phone, you can do that here. And then we have another mount for when you want to connect it with a camera. And now last but not least, we have the gimbal itself. I have to say, I am astonished how lightweight this is. Like literally, this is just so lightweight and just fits in the hand so nicely. Like it's literally the grip, so nice, so lightweight. So it kind of seems like, can I really put a full frame camera like the Sony a7 IV on this? And let's talk about what it can actually do. So this is the Moza Aircross S, and it is a all-in-one gimbal. What this actually means is you can film with different devices and in different formats in just one single gimbal. You can actually do it with 3 different cameras at the same time. I'll talk about that more in a second, but spec-wise, it is only 700 grams, which, well, it kind of makes me, someone that doesn't usually use a gimbal, well, this is definitely something for me. This is, if you're on the fence, if you want to have a gimbal, but you don't want to carry around a lot, this is definitely a beautiful device because it really doesn't feel heavy. You don't really have to have so much in your backpack for a gimbal, and then with a small device like this, you already have a gimbal for all of your devices. So for your phone, action cameras, and your mirrorless devices. I know there are different travel content creators that like to have, a beefy setup, a big gimbal, and a whole crew. But from my point of view, I like to have something that is lightweight and just a run and gun. Thanks to this gimbal is definitely something that just opened my eyes to the world of gimbals again, because it's finally something that is lightweight, not gonna weigh you down, and you can set it up easily within seconds. So it's really nice so that you don't really have to play around with it every single time.
And because it's an all-in-one, you can essentially say that this gimbal is for all of your devices. And because you can record in horizontal and vertical, you can really just shoot in both formats on one gimbal. And while it only weighs 700 grams, it can actually carry up to 1.8 kilograms of payload. And going over the body and the design of it, I have to say it's really nicely made, like with the grip, it's very nice. But what I really like is, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm talking and I'm moving around and nothing is moving around. Something that I really like about this gimbal is you can actually lock everything in place. So basically, you have those little lock mechanisms that you can flip, and as you can see, now it's free to move. As you can see, it can move. Same thing can be said about every single arm here. But if you want to lock it, you just lock it here, put it into the space, and now it's locked. So now it's better for travel, but also just, you know, not having to worry about it moving all the time whenever you're moving it around or having it in your backpack or just placing it anywhere. And while it's small and it's pretty much like a one-handed gimbal, this might be beautiful for maybe having like for an action camera or a smartphone. I think it's very nice that you can actually use the included tripod, not only for it to be a tripod and, you know, setting everything up, but if like this and you have a tripod, you can actually use it like a secondary handle, and now you can actually hold it with two hands like a sword, and then that way you do have like a better grip if it's a heavier payload. So that's very cool that they included the tripod, and it just makes sense that you can use it one-handedly or two-handedly, or just use it as a tripod if you want to. What I really like about this gimbal is it really is an all-in-one. You can use it with a phone, action camera, and a mirrorless, but also you can actually turn it to be different ways. For example, you can record in horizontal or vertical, or even both if you use different devices at the same time. So in a sense, you could actually record, you know, like a normal video with the mirrorless camera, and have an action camera as like the, you know, behind the scenes, and then the third camera, the phone on it, would be for like social media behind the scenes. So you could have like the vertical behind the scenes of what you're doing. And a really cool thing, and a really cool detail, while you have different modes in the pressing of the buttons on the sides and everywhere, there is actually a joystick that you can use here that really you can turn around the gimbal while moving it. So that way you can, with one hand operation, you can actually change where you're looking at if you wanted to. It's really nicely made, really intuitive with different controls on different sides, which is really cool. And this gimbal lasts about 12 hours on a single charge. And with the buttons, if you click twice, it's gonna reset to the middle. If you press it 3 times, it's gonna actually set it to selfie mode. And then 3 times, if you click the menu button 3 times, it's gonna go into inception mode. So it's really nice if you want to have that, you know, kind of like if you watch Black Panther 1, the first movie, you're gonna notice that like going forward and like turning, that is the inception mode, which is really cool. And you also have the record button on this front, and you have the screen on the back that is facing you at all times. And I have to say, my favorite feature of this gimbal is definitely the combination of it being very lightweight to the point you can actually use it like a one-handed gimbal, not having to set up so much, and it's like really quick and easy to use. Those were the 2 points why I never used a gimbal, because I felt like for the style of shooting that I do, usually setting up a gimbal would take too long, and I would rather just go farther along our adventure and just shoot everything handheld, because usually that is good enough for me and the style of shooting that I do. That is kind of the look that I get from it. But also the other side is, even if I thought a different shot would be nice with a gimbal, I wouldn't really have it with me, because I always thought, you know what, I'm not gonna carry something so heavy with me at all times. But this is gonna change a lot of people's mind, because it's very lightweight. So if you're on the fence about a gimbal, or you want something that can be used with different formats, like your camera, your phone, your action camera, so in different use case scenarios, this can be like an all-in-one gimbal, which is really nice. And because it's so lightweight and so small, it really is not gonna weigh you down that much. I noticed that with my Sony a7 IV, if I use it with the 10-120-75, which you're watching from right now, which is on the bigger, or actually the longer side of the lenses, is like, it kind of makes it a little bit front heavy because it's so long to the front. This gimbal had been struggling with it at first, but then I finally got around to making it work. I just had to really push it back so that the center mass of the camera and the lens was a little bit more back, and then it
was actually working. With any other lens I had no problems, but because the camera was a little bit longer, well, I had a slight problem at first, but then I just fiddled around and found the nice sweet spot to get it working. Even if you have a lens that is slightly, you know, turning it to the front or the back, don't worry, because the gimbal is strong enough to really handle. The motors are really nice. And that brings me to last point, which is it's plastic. It's pretty much made from plastic other than the arms here. The handle here and the extra tripod are made from plastic. And because it's made of plastic, some people are gonna not like it as much, because I know a lot of people like to have different quality materials. But I feel like this is a very nice quality of plastic, knowing that they're going for a lightweight setup. Having anything heavier here would make this much heavier, and this was probably the way to shave as much weight from the gimbal as possible. So for some, that plastic might be a minus. For me personally, I would rather have it plastic and weight a little bit less. So with that being said, I have to say I really like this gimbal. It kind of makes me want to use it because of the way it's built. It's lightweight, easy to use, really quick to set up, so it's not something that is gonna weigh me down and just something that I'm not gonna want to use because it's heavy, it's a lot of setting up. This can be really easily made to work in pretty much seconds. So if you want something that is good for travel, in my case, I would highly recommend. And also if you want something that can be used with different devices so that you have everything covered, this one is amazing for that too. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.